everybody? Welcome back to Challenge the Call with Max and Avery. I'm your host, Max.
And I am Avery. How are you guys?
All right, so we're back to doing our full length episodes here, recording on a Friday night, the Friday night before college football officially opens back up. Um, I just got back from a high school football game. Actually, went to our alma mater, saw Springville play, and saw our old head coach and old principal and stuff. Springville won it 57-14, so it was a good game to go watch. What have you been up to?
Oh yeah, I just got off a 8 hour day of work, and I had school in the morning, so I definitely did not have as much fun tonight as you did, unfortunately. But I'm glad Springville pulled it off, man. Are we looking good this year?
I don't know how a lot of the teams in the conference are teams that like we never played, and like 11-man teams that moved down or teams that just started a football program. I will say most of the roster is freshmen and sophomores. There are 4 juniors and 1 senior, so I don't think they'll be all that great. But
Yeah, pretty young, pretty young. I'm hoping. Well, hey, if with it being all sophomores, in like a couple of years, maybe they'll be pretty decent.
definitely, that's what I said too. But getting into some of the sports we'll talk about on this episode, we'll go ahead and get rolling right into Cubs Corner. Avery, give us a Cubs update.
Dun-dun-dun. All right, so the Chicago Cubs, they're 67-61. We are 6-4 in the last 10 games. If the season ended today, we would be in the final wild card spot. We're 4 games away from first place in our division. And our upcoming series is against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they are terrible this year, 58-71. The cool thing about the Cubs, man, like we mentioned a couple weeks back, they just got to get hot at the right time, and the bats are rolling for the Chicago Cubs. The pitching's there, and I think we're gonna make that push. And I think we have a shot now. We closed the gap enough that not only are we like looking for a wild card spot, I think there's potential of us winning our conference. I think, or not conference, but division. I think there's potential of us winning our NL Central. So I'm excited for that. I'm hoping we can close that gap and kind of pull it through.
Awesome. Where do they stand in the division right now? No, they're second in the division behind the Brewers.
Yep.
Brewers have a 4-game lead on us. Okay. So yeah, we could take our division.
I really think series or the season ends September 30th. So I'm really hoping we just kind of keep on this even keel and we can pull it off.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see some good things there out of the Cubs. But more importantly, college football is back. I don't count NFL preseason as football. High school is kind of whatever. So in my head, football is truly, truly back coming up this week. Our very first opening game, we have tomorrow night going on. We got Navy versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame is ranked 13th currently in the preseason lineup. That game is going to be at 1 p.m. tomorrow, and it is being played in Ireland, which is kind of cool. It would be really fun to go see one of those games like overseas, don't you think?
Oh yeah, no, I think that would be awesome to kind of check out a like overseas game. I know like college football does a lot in Ireland, um, more so than the NFL does. I know NFL is more like Germany and England, but it is always cool. I know Nebraska played in that Week 0 game last year in Ireland, and so like just to see a different type of team like Notre Dame, and isn't that perfect? Fighting Irish, playing in Ireland. I think that's just like the coolest thing there.
There's definitely, I feel like, some intention to making Notre Dame going over to Ireland. Like you said, yeah, fighting Irish. Like that is their homeland kind of area. So that is this a home game for them technically?
technically they're wearing their home jerseys, but yeah, I would say, home game, Fighting Irish. I'm excited, man. Notre Dame, they're a second year coach. Marcus Freeman is coming in, like he took over for Brian Kelly when Brian Kelly went down to LSU a couple years back. So I'm pretty excited for that kind of mindset and see like how he can do in his second year. Notre Dame last year, they went 9-4. And so, I mean, to see Navy's no slouch though. Navy can put like they don't put up numbers, but they play good defense. They run that option, like you mentioned in the past. It's hard to prepare for an option team.
Although they don't have a week to prepare for an option
They've
team.
had
They've had
awesome.
their entire camp, preseason, summer, so they should be able to pretty well defend the triple option having a month to prep for it compared to a standard like, oh, this week is triple option, like let's try to figure it out.
For sure. There's a couple of notable guys that came over, like the Notre Dame starting quarterback. It's Sam Hartman, and he transferred in from Wake Forest. He had a couple of good years at Wake Forest, so I'm excited to see how he'll look in that offense. I mean, I'm just excited for football to be back, and with number 13 Notre Dame, like you can't beat that. Like at least we got a top 25 like team playing in the first game. It's no Nebraska playing in the first game like it was last year.
Who did Nebraska even play in the first game? Like Minnesota or something? No,
Northwestern.
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 That's what it
What
was.
what a game. What a game.
Yeah.
Nebraska versus Northwestern. They college football really treated us to barn bur- burn burn barn burner. That's what I'm looking for. But yeah, no, I'm glad for this. And Navy, like we said, triple option. They're going to be really relying on the run game, and so we'll see how that goes.
Yep. And Notre Dame is favored by 20 and a half points. You think they're covering that?
Yeah, I do. I think Notre Dame's going to go in probably put not 40, but it's going to be like a 40-17 type ball game, 40-13. Like you mentioned, man, like they've had all camp, they've had all summer to prepare for a triple option team. Now, if this game was like week 6 and that Notre Dame's played 4 or 5 games all the way through, and it was week 6, then yeah, I think Navy could maybe play a closer game and it'd be 23-13, 23-17 type game. But it's week 0. It's not even week 1. It's week 0. Like Notre Dame's ready and they're prepared and they're gonna come out and they're gonna make some noise.
One of our coaches is a Notre Dame fan, and whether he might be a little biased or not, I think he's convinced me that spread is going to be covered by Notre Dame. So I'm with it. I can't disagree there. But also, we have Nebraska and Minnesota, exactly what I just thought last year was. That was in my subconscious or something. But Nebraska versus Minnesota will also be happening. That will be happening on the 31st. I don't know what is that, Monday, Tuesday?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Next week.
Thursday
Yeah,
next week. That'll be at 7 p.m. Minnesota is favored by 7.5, so not a huge difference there. I don't even know what to think of this game, really. Minnesota's a little on the fence when it comes to performance, isn't it?
Yeah, so Minnesota's very up and down. PJ Fleck's been over there for what, a couple of years now. Like this is kind of that make or break year for PJ Fleck. I would have to assume. Like I think if PJ doesn't figure it out this year, they're going to be looking for a new coach next year because like Minnesota, they have all the talent in the world. They just can't like close out seasons. Like they play really well in the West. Like they'll beat teams like Wisconsin. They even beat us 2 years ago, I believe. Like I struggle with Minnesota because they do well. Um, but Minnesota did lose their senior quarterback to graduating, Tanner Morgan. So they're starting a sophomore named Athen Kalakamasnis, sophomore starting quarterback. So we'll see how he performs. But dude, One thing I'm more interested is how is Nebraska going to come out with Matt Rule under helm? No more Scott Frost, no more Mickey Joseph internship. Like it is Matt Rule's team, and living in Nebraska, you hear a lot of buzz every single year, but this year it kind of feels different. And I don't know if that's from the loss last year and I can't say much, or if that's just like they are building something. Matt Rule's,
I think Matt Rule will definitely be building something there. Minnesota is favored, not by a ton, but by a full touchdown. It's not like it's a point or 3 points or anything, but I don't know. I would not be overly surprised if Nebraska covered this.
yeah, to be honest, man, I think Nebraska wins this. Like if I'm betting on this game, I'm buying Nebraska down to I'll probably put like -2.5 on Nebraska. I think Nebraska pulls this off. Alternative odds, but like one thing, like I'm just and maybe I'm drinking the Kool Aid living in Nebraska. Maybe that's like the aspect that I'm coming from here, but Matt Rule's done it at different programs in the past. Like he turned around Baylor within 2 years. He turned around Temple within 2 years. He wasn't a successful NFL coach, but sometimes you make a better college coach than an NFL coach.
No.
It
I
happens.
mean, those are almost too, like, yeah, coaching football is coaching football, but like coaching in college, like head coach especially, like it's a whole different animal than NFL cuz like recruiting's the biggest thing. Like you want to talk about what makes a team good or not, I don't really care who the coach scheming things up is really. Like, how is your recruiting game? Like, the best recruiting schools, those are the best schools because they get the best kids. Like, that's how it goes. But then NFL, it's a whole different game, you know? Like, there has got to be 100% scheme because you can go grab just about anybody you want. You know, you have a draft, get your best players, you have trades and waivers and whatever. Like you can get good players. They're nice and spread out. Now you got to be able to scheme it up right and whatnot. So an NFL versus college coach, they're two entirely different worlds. Like, yeah, you can be great at one and not really successful at the other, or vice versa. You know, some NFL coaches don't make great college coaches just because they don't have that same kind of recruit and build around them mentality.
I agree 100%. It's not like even 4-star, 5-star recruits, like they come in, you still have to teach them how to play football. Like, and you got to build them up in the weight room. You got to build them up like during film study. There's different aspects of college football that is completely different than the NFL. So I agree, and I think that's what Matt Rule comes and he puts into perspective for Nebraska fans. You don't got this fancy scheme guy like Scott Frost was supposed to be. You kind of have like, okay, this grinder that's gonna go out find some 2-star farm boy from middle of Nebraska, kind of like Kirk Ferentz has done with Iowa, and you're gonna turn him into a 4-star offensive lineman. And by the time he graduates, he's gonna be a first to second round pick. And that's what I'm afraid of. And I don't like praising Nebraska, especially being us Iowa fans. But that's the mindset that I have with it. They've also brought in a couple of guys like Jeff Sims through the transfer portal. He is a transfer from Georgia Tech. He had a good, successful college career. He's a senior this year. He's their starting quarterback. He doesn't really have the arm talent, but he's a speedster. And, sometimes that can be dangerous.
Well, and the way the game is being played anymore, like quarterbacks, yeah, they still need to be able to throw real well and everything, but quarterbacks are more mobile than we've ever seen before. Like you got a good running quarterback, and those are good teams. Like the good teams have quarterbacks that can move. So having a good speedy guy that can, make that read and take off himself if need be, like that's gonna win games. But yeah, I think Nebraska's got a good shot at covering this. I don't know. I never have faith in Minnesota. Like you said, they're too up and down. I can't ever count on them being good or not. Nebraska, at least, I can see the improvements. I can see the culture building. Like, I can see them being a decent team this year. Last game we'll talk about, week 0 game here. Same day, same time. That Thursday, August 30th at 7 p.m., we have Florida versus Utah. Will be Cam Rising's last year at Utah since he is now a fifth-year senior. I kind of want Utah to win this. I'm little bit of a Utah fan, ever so slight. I shouldn't even say Utah fan, but I like Utah a little bit. Something about them just kind of past couple of years winning their conference, Pac-12, but still just like I feel like I always find myself watching at least one Utah game, and it's normally the Pac-12 championship, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, go Utah.
For sure. So Utah's coming in at 17th in the polls to start the year. Fair. I mean, that's a good ranking for Utah. I think they're always a top 20 team lately. Florida's coming in at 24. So this is a top 25 matchup, both coming in to fight. Yeah, no, man, I do love Utah, and they returned a lot of starters. I mean, I think one starter they lost was Dalton Kincaid. He went in the second round, tight end. He's now a Buffalo Bill, but other than that, Cameron Rising, like he is a beast quarterback. He gives off Max Duggan vibes. He's not the most accurate, but he likes to run people over, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's the one that what was it last year in the game against USC Pac-12 championship. He either trucked or got trucked, and the helmet just went fly. But he got up and was just like, "Where's my helmet?"
Yeah, and there's been a couple of times he keeps running. Like there's been a
Yeah.
couple of times he gets hit. I don't know. He needs a new helmet because I feel like Cam Rising's helmet is always flying off.
Right.
But they also
like, hey, do you actually strap that thing on? You want to, like screw it a little tighter? I don't know.
But no, yeah, man. And I think Utah's ready to go because I think they, with the Pac-12 pretty much ending at this point, like I think Utah wants another Pac-12 championship before they move over to the Big 12. I think that's going to be a major aspect of Utah's like chances. They want to come out on top and say, "Hey, we're moving to the Big 12," but it's not because we're, not good. Like we can compete with these SEC teams.
I think
And
of I think of all the schools joining the Big 12, Utah is definitely one that's like gonna go be an addition, gonna be a competitor in the Big 12 as far as like we're not joining to be in a better conference, we're joining to win a different conference kind of mentality. Like I think they actually have a shot at playing in the Big 12 championship game a year or two after joining. They maybe not since they won't have Cam Rising anymore. It might take a few years. I don't know who's going to replace him, but I do think they could be that kind of team that's actually going to go in and be really competitive in the Big 12, not just joining it to join it.
do you know who their backup quarterback is, by the way?
Who?
Alex Padilla from Iowa.
From Iowa.
Trans-
He was
transferred from Iowa. He's Utah's backup quarterback. I just looked it up. He must have transferred to Utah. That's funny. So that's going to be his successor because Alex Padilla is a redshirt junior. So that he'll probably be a redshirt senior as his successor over at Utah.
hey,
Um,
that's all right. I don't know if Padilla is going to play much for us anyway, but we got McNamara now. We got
we're
fucking
good.
Joe Labus, love him, and we've got a couple others. I ain't even going to mention them. We have a decent freshman who could be pretty good actually. Marco might be pretty good, and give
Yeah.
him a few years. Yeah, I think so. But
But anyways, I mean, on the other side of the teams, though, Florida, man, like Florida, they also got they have a new quarterback coming in, transfer Graham Mertz from Wisconsin. We saw him play the last couple of years for Wisconsin. Had a very okay career in Wisconsin. Wisconsin before they got Luke Fickle, they they just like they didn't throw the ball much. They really lean on the run game, and that's just Wisconsin. It's kind of similar to Iowa. So Graham Mertz, he never got that full potential. Well, this is gonna be hard, man. He's replacing a first round talent in Anthony Richardson, and so like it's gonna be interesting to see their defense. Though that's the thing the Florida Gators have. They are returning a lot of defensive starters. Kalir Elam, if he would have came out last year, he would have definitely been a first round pick. And so him at cornerback, and it's it's hard with these SEC teams because these SEC teams are great. Like, I hate to say it, but when you look at the SEC, it's hard to stack up to anybody else. So it's curious. I'm curious to see how that Florida team and that Utah team will play each other.
Definitely. It'll be an interesting game. I can't say I'll watch it. I mean, I can't say I'll watch either of these because I'll probably be working at the time. But, um, well, I might not be. There's 7 p.m. Might be home from practice already. But getting into a game that I also probably will not watch, but really would like to watch, Iowa is going to be taking on Utah State at Kinnick. Iowa is favored by 23 and a half points. So, yeah, Vegas is loving Iowa for this one, which I mean I can't blame them. Like Utah State, like is that's a general five, isn't it?
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
non-power five. Yep. Um, yeah, man. Utah State, the Aggies. I think Utah State's a good non-power five program. They're in the Mountain West. The one thing I hate when they put these odds in because like can Iowa's off like it's the same question every year. I feel like a broken record player. Can Iowa's offense even score 23 and a half points? This year might be different. I mean, we do have a
now
quarterback.
technically Iowa's offense doesn't have to score 23 and a half points, as our defense could very well score 14 of those.
That's true. That's 100% true. That's one thing I want to talk about. I feel like our defense is taking a hit. You know, we've lost a few starters. Lucas Van Ness, Noah Shannon now. Like, how do we stack up coming into this year like we did last year? We were
For
a
sure.
top five defense in all of college football last year.
No, yeah, and we lost more than just our NFL drafts. Like obviously, we lost the guys like Van Ness and Jack Campbell who got drafted, but Noah Shannon's one that hurts just because of the gambling style. Like we should have him. Like he's there. He's gonna be there. He's just gonna be standing there watching as opposed to on the field playing. So that one's gonna really sting. Luckily, we do have Joe Evans coming back. He's going to be taking a fifth year, so he's still around. Um, but yeah, we did lose. We lost a lot of that power up front. Our backfield is still looking decently solid. Oh, Riley Moss. Lost Riley Moss too. Technically lost Meriwether. But we have Cooper
Yeah,
DeJean, and he's looking good. I think we'll be all right defensively. I think Iowa just as a defensive legacy does just fine for itself. I don't think we need to be too worried there. Um, and offensively, I think we should be pretty well excited. I think we should be pretty excited about the offense. I mean, new quarterback, two tight ends. We could run 12 personnel all day with Luke Lachey and Eric Hall. Like that's like those are just we have the perfect situation right here, especially with a quarterback like Cade McNamara, who's
loves
played
to
at
give it to his
Michigan.
tight ends.
Yeah, played at Michigan, is a good program guy. Just fuck it. Like, I think he'll have the team right. I think he is getting the team right. I think he's a competent quarterback. And I think our offense is going to have some production.
Right. Yeah, no, and like one thing that we're missing is like our offensive line. That's why we struggled a lot last year. Spencer Petras, he struggled. We had a very young offensive line last year. All of these guys are returning. They're
Yeah.
all returning. They're juniors and seniors. I think some are sophomore. Mason Richmond. We got a couple other guys that we got it coming in, and I'm pretty excited to see this offensive line kind of mesh together because this is year two together. And this is going to be a really cool like atmosphere to see. Okay, let's get everything together. Let's protect Cade. Let Cade get it to Luke Lachey. Let him get it to Eric All. Nico Ragini, he's coming back. I'm really excited. And we're forgetting our stud freshman running back, Caleb Johnson, last year. Caleb Johnson was very productive last year. I think you're right. I think our Iowa offense has a lot of potential. The key
Yeah.
word
I
is coaching.
Yes, I think they're going to be much better, and not even just linemen being together. We have some transfers too. Like we have a guy from Cincinnati that's going to be joining the line. I don't know if he'll be a starter 100%, but I have to imagine he will be just from being with them all this throughout the summer and stuff. Rusty, he his name is Rusty. I think he's going to be a good guy in there. You you mentioned Mason. I love Mason. But no, yeah, the line I definitely think is going to be good. The line will be solid. Cade's going to be solid. Even the receiver, like we actually have receivers. We have, like you said, we have Nico. We have Caleb, who's not Johnson. Caleb Brown, who's he's like a 4-star. He transferred in, and there's a couple other receivers that were looking pretty decent during camp and stuff too. Like I think we're going to have a pretty decent offense. And if we can just replicate a little bit of what we did on defense last year and combine it with just an okay offense like coming together, I think we're going to be in a perfect spot to go dominate the Big Ten. Maybe not dominate the Big Ten, but like do well
Dominate
for
the West.
ourselves.
The West.
Dominating the West, yeah.
Yeah, dominating the West. Yeah, we did lose Keegan Johnson, wide receiver. He ended up transferring to Colorado, actually. So we lost Keegan Johnson. He was a big like hometown guy. He's from Omaha, Nebraska. Um, but yeah, we lost him, and going back. Coaching, Brian Ferentz. This is his make or break year too, because they put that points per game stipulation in his contract this year. He lost some money salary wise, and this is the points per game. What is it? 21 point or 21? I
I
think
forget
21
I
per
forget
game.
exactly I forget exactly what the point total is, but yes, he has to hit a certain point per game to get a bonus. So like he will be paid his like regular whatever like salary that he would be getting, assuming that he makes all these stipulations as bonuses. Like he gets a bonus that will add up to what his salary would have been if he actually performs.
Yeah, that's fair. But at the same time, it's like I'm just nervous. I mean, once bitten, twice shy, right? Like people say that all the time. But Cade is the best quarterback we've had since CJ Beathard. And look at what we did when we had a quarterback like CJ Beathard or Cade McNamara. We literally went to the Rose Bowl. Like we went 12-1 and we went to the Rose Bowl, and we have the defense. Yeah, we lost a lot of key parts, but if we fall from top 5 defense to top 25 defense, but instead of having the 114th offense, we have a 67th offense or 57th offense. Doesn't that kind of cancel out?
No,
Like,
definitely. Like I just said, if we can just replicate a little bit of what we did on defense, like yeah, I'll take a top 25 defense with a competent offense. Like the
100%.
biggest issue is we did not have a competent offense last year. We do now. I wish we would have had last year's defense paired with this offense that we're about to have, because I think we might be playoff bound. But I'll settle for potentially winning the Big Ten, potentially getting a big bowl game, any of it. I'll settle for. I'll even just settle for a regular 8-win Iowa. Like hey, winning season like normal. I'm good with whatever.
Well, and that brings back, I know this is a long time away, but like one aspect I think too is like this is our last shot. I feel like in a weird way, I feel like this is our last shot to be competitive for now in the Big Ten, with like Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA joining all next year, and they're all joining the West. This is our last easy path to the West. And I think that's a lot of these teams are thinking. Like Wisconsin's probably thinking the same thing. Illinois, they had a great year last year. They're probably thinking the same thing.
Well,
This
we
is
know Nebraska is thinking the same thing because we said last episode or two, like they want to go join the Big 12 now again.
right. Yeah. And so like this is like this like last kind of shimmer of like hope. Okay. Because once you get into the big game, like anything can happen. If you can get into the Big Ten championship, anything can happen. It's just a matter of getting to that Big Ten championship. And like, yeah, with these 4 teams joining from California and the West Coast, it's like, okay, like we gotta be there. We gotta make it to the Big Ten championship. Like I feel like I know you said you'd be okay with 8-win Iowa, and sad part is I probably will be too. But like I know a lot of Iowa fans are also like kind of reminiscing and being like, okay, but this is our shot. This is our shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a decent shot. I don't think it's the last one we have. Like we're gonna recruit. We're gonna have guys in. Um, I mean, shoot, the playoffs are even about to expand to a 12-team playoff. Like in theory, we don't even have to go to the Big Ten championship, and we can still be making the playoffs. Like there's only going to be 3 Power 5 championships happening, which sounds weird to say because it's Power 5, but in reality, like, or I guess 4. There will be 4 Power 5 championships. That's 8 teams. Like you're still looking at 4 more teams that have got to join that somewhere. So I don't know. I think they'll still be fine. They'll still sit decently. Kirk's not leaving anytime soon. Phil Parker's not leaving anytime soon. Uh, they'll be solid. They'll be a good program. They'll be what they are. Iowa's gonna do what Iowa does.
Fair, fair. Yeah, you're 100% correct. So
But
what
all
are you
right.
taking? Are you? I don't know what we decided on. Do you think Iowa covers?
Ooh, 23 and a half. I mean, that is a lot, but also I've never watched Utah State play a day in my life. I couldn't even tell you where they're typically at within the Mountain West, like ranking wise. Like, are they always going to the championship? Are they kind of middle of the pack? Are they at the bottom of the pack? Like, that's gonna have a big effect on my answer here. But
So, actually, there's a quarterback in our division that went to Utah State, by the way, in the NFL. Can you name what quarterback?
in our division that went to
Yep,
Utah
in
State,
the NFC North, there's a quarterback.
well, are they a starting quarterback or are they a
Yep,
backup?
no, they're a starter.
They're a starter. There's Jared Goff. There's Jordan Love, and there's what, Kirk Cousins still? Is it where did I don't know which one of those it is.
Jordan Love went to Utah State. He
I was
was the
torn, but
first.
I was torn between him and Goff. I didn't want to
Yeah,
be wrong.
he was a quarterback, and he went to Utah State. So there's a famous quarterback, in the NFL, about to get a starting opportunity. But Utah State, they went 6-7 last year, and so they're middle of the pack, Mountain West. They lost to Boise State. They got smoked by Alabama last year, first game of the year. Um, they beat BYU, and they beat Colorado State. So, I mean, yeah, up and down year. I mean, they did play a team like Alabama first game of the year last year, and now they're
Yeah.
playing Iowa.
See,
We're not.
it's the beating Colorado State that makes it hard for me because Iowa they beat Colorado State, but they also barely beat Colorado
Well,
State two
so
years
so did
ago.
Utah State, 17-13. So, I mean, close game by Utah State. So, I mean, I think they're gonna be a little bit. They're gonna be
I I
competitive.
think I think 23 and a half is a pretty big spread. I think Utah State could probably cover it. I don't think Iowa necessarily blows them out, but I mean, Iowa's going to win. Like, I'm not doubting Iowa's capability to win whatsoever. I just don't know if they cover such a large spread. Like that's a big number.
I think Iowa, and I'm going to throw out an exact score just for the hell of it. 27-10. 27-10, Iowa wins. 17. So yeah, Utah State covers the spread, but that sounds like an Iowa score.
That's
27 to
yeah.
10.
That sounds like I could believe that score happening. Like that would make a lot of sense to me.
Two offensive touchdowns, maybe a defensive touchdown or special teams and a field goal. Boom.
I like it. No, yeah, I'm technically taking Utah State to cover, but I think Iowa definitely wins it. But moving on from college, we will talk a little bit about the Bears in the NFL here. We are officially 1-1 in the preseason now. We did lose to the Colts, unfortunately. I'm a little upset about it, but also not too upset because it's preseason. So really, who gives a fuck? I just, I don't know. I did watch it. I also watched a few other preseason games, or at least some quarters of a preseason game that were on. And I can't get behind preseason. I cannot watch it like it's actual meaningful football. Like I can't do it.
Yeah, I notice I get on my phone a lot watching preseason games and just like kind of zone out if I am watching a game. I'll watch it like I was watching a preseason game when I was out to eat the other night. I mean, that was nice having sports on TV when you're out to eat watching football. Um, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's preseason. It's not great. I mean, you're seeing backups, third stringers, and future grocery clerks. Like that's what you see. But I don't know. Bears losing to the Colts. There's a lot to take away. It was a sloppy game. It was a very sloppy game. Offense, even our first team offense looked sloppy. After we came out and we looked really good against the Titans, and then we come out and we look very sloppy. Couple penalties starting off. Justin Fields looked a little rushed, which scared me because it's like the good and the bad with Justin Fields. Some weeks he looks like he's an MVP caliber quarterback, and there's other weeks that it's like, Justin, it's okay, calm down. And I think it's a lot to do
Yeah,
with like getting rushed.
it it definitely looks sloppy, and that's very worrisome. Like they looked so good against the Titans, or at least seemingly, like seemingly it was like, holy crap, like yes, we're gonna have something here. And then coming out against the Colts is kind of like, well, do we have something here? Are we sure we got something? We'll really have to see how they do against their next game, the Bills. They're is that tomorrow? I don't did know we don't even have the date on here of the game. I'm gonna assume it's tomorrow. I feel like most preseason games happen on Saturday, but it's also week 0 of college football, so I'm not 100% sure. But
Tomorrow at noon.
tomorrow at noon, I will watch that. Then I do not have to work for the next 2 days, so
There you
I am
go.
very excited about that. I am actually gonna watch some football. But we'll really have to see how they do against the Bills. And even then, if they don't do all that great, one, it's the Bills. Two, it's preseason. So I need week 1 to happen. I want to wait for week 1. I want to see what happens in week 1, and before that, I just like everything's taken with a grain of salt.
For sure. Well, and I just looked up Josh Allen will be playing against Chicago
Really?
for the first at least 2 possessions, Doug McDermott says. So that'll be interesting. I do want to see, like I mentioned this in last week's podcast, that I would love to see like in the preseason the Bears defense go up against the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, and well, we're getting one of them, and I'm excited for that because like let's see if we can shut down or at least make Josh Allen consider throwing the ball, over the top and making them switch up their game plan. Because if we can do it against Josh Allen, we can do it against Kirk Cousins. We can do it against Jared Goff, Jordan Love. Like, I'm not worried about the Bills when it comes to the regular season.
No.
I'm more
And
worried about
definitely this is going to be a real good showcase for our defense. Like our offense, I don't know if they were going up against first string defense or not. Would they? I don't know who the Titans played. I don't necessarily know who the Colts played when we had our one offense in. But if our one and or two defenses in against the Bills one offense, like yeah, that's going to be an actual true test to see like how sound are they, how well do they hold together, like are we going to have a decent defense again this year? Because that like Iowa, that's one thing that we have a little bit of a backbone on is we really defensively just try to control the game. And if we can do that and just make a little room for our offense to do some work, we could be pretty successful. But I will like being able to see actual first string Josh Allen going against our defense and seeing if our defense can at least get a stop or two, or at least slow him down a good amount. Like nothing crazy. I don't expect any pick sixes to happen or anything like that. But like, hey, maybe we can make him punt at the 40. I don't.
I agree, 100%. Yeah, I'm excited, and I do want to see Justin Fields out there, and I'm glad we're seeing it again because, like, I do want to see if he has made that jump, and it's so hard, like you mentioned, it's preseason. It's so hard to see if a player has taken that next step, and I really hope Justin has. I mean, we will find out week 1 against Green Bay. I mean, and that's coming up quicker than like what next week after next week, it's week 1. Like the Lions and the Chiefs kick off September 7th. So like it's coming up. It's here. Like 2 weeks away. Here's the countdown.
September
Um,
10th.
September 10th, Bears, and I think it's a 3:25 game. I think it's
Yep.
America's game of the week. Yeah, America's game of the week. Bears Packers, classic game. I love that type of game. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited. But like you mentioned, the Colts, they didn't really play. Anthony Richardson played the first possession of that game. Jonathan Taylor's been sitting out all offseason and in the preseason. Uh, for anybody that didn't know, Jonathan Taylor has requested a trade from the Indianapolis Colts. And so actually, believe it or not, the Bears are one of the suitors, evidently, in trade negotiations. I don't want Jonathan Taylor. From what I saw from Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson in week 1 and Deontay Foreman, I'm okay with our running back by committee. You don't need a superstar running back. And especially, think about this. Like, the Jonathan Taylor, he was ran so much. He has so many miles under his legs just from Wisconsin, his college career alone. He's the all time running leader in NCAA history. And then he came to Indianapolis and he's getting 200 attempts a year in the NFL his first 4 years. I don't want Jonathan Taylor. He's got maybe 3 years max. I'm good.
I would I would love Jonathan Taylor. Like 2 or 3 years max. Like great. That's what you're getting out of any fucking running back these days. Like you get 2 to 3 years. Like there's a whole issue going on with running backs not getting paid because they don't last long. No one's expecting them to last long. 2 or 3 years, like that's a good, solid like state to be in. Bring Jonathan Taylor in, fucking run him, give him a year or two. Let Roshan and Herbert keep their legs or some shit. Like I don't know, put them in the rotation. They can all be in the
Okay.
rotation.
And I'm glad we're coming to this stage because the way I look at this right here is one, I don't want to get the Colts are asking for a first round pick. A first round pick for Jonathan Taylor. I'm good. I feel like it can get a running back similar to Jonathan Taylor's a skill set. I think we have a running back on our roster like similar to Jonathan Taylor's skill set. I don't need to go get a superstar guy. I really don't think that's really a necessity for the Chicago Bears at this moment. I think we're
Sure.
still
No. Well,
building.
okay. Well, yeah, because you're changing this, not changing the story completely, but there's a very big difference saying I don't want Jonathan Taylor and saying I
Okay.
wouldn't give up a first rounder for Jonathan Taylor.
Okay.
They're two
I
entirely different statements.
I do want Jonathan Taylor. Let me rephrase. If I could get Jonathan Taylor for a seventh round pick, sure, bring him in. Sixth round pick, sure, bring him in. Even up to a fourth round pick, sure, bring him in. But anything more than a fourth, third, second, first, no way. No way. Even if you traded Khalil Herbert for Jonathan Taylor and a fourth round pick, fine. That's fine. But other than that, no, there's no way I want him for a top three like top three third round pick, like through the rounds at all. I feel like that's not a necessity. One team that has been very interested in him is the Buffalo Bills. And if they get that running back and with that offense and Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, that could be that missing piece Buffalo needs to get over the Cincinnati Bengals or the
That
Kansas City Chiefs.
that would be a dangerous combination there. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor. Like that is all three groups. Not speaking O line, obviously, but you got all three your skill positions just absolutely stacked up.
Dawson Knox, tight end, and Dalton Kincaid on both sides of the ball. That team, Gabriel Davis is the number 2 receiver. It's insane. Like it would be like the Bills would be the front runner to win the Super Bowl. I guarantee it. They get Jonathan Taylor, they'd be the front runner. I
I mean, they
mean,
practically were last year as is.
yeah, they were. And, people took a step back because Josh Allen, I wouldn't say he regressed last year, but he definitely wasn't, that top tier guy as he has been in the past. But yeah, so that was another big move. Another big move that actually has happened this week is Trey Lance getting traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th round pick.
About time. I don't know why I don't like Trey Lance so much. I really don't have any reason like to have so much dislike for the guy, but for some reason I can't fucking stand the dude. Like first round taken, fucking has hardly played or hardly showed that he can even play. Especially with Brock Purdy being on the 49ers now, like I think more of my hatred or my not even hatred. I don't necessarily hate him, but my disapproval of Trey Lance, I think partially stems from Brock Purdy being the guy supposedly behind him and being like, nah, Purdy's way better. Like Lance can go get the fuck out of here.
I see where you're coming from with the 49ers perspective. I agree. I do think, out of everybody this offseason, like Sam Darnold was the best quarterback in the preseason for the 49ers. But that's because Brock barely played. I get that. Veteran presence, Sam Darnold. They had to make Sam Darnold the number 2 guy. Because if Brock goes down with another elbow injury or another injury, Sam can step in and not look like a fool, similar to what Trey Lance kind of looked like last year. He looked confused. He looked dazed in that pocket. He looked like he couldn't read NFL defenses at points. And that's the scary part with Trey Lance. But there's a reason he was the 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft. He has a cannon arm. He has the whole skill set. He has the whole package if you built a quarterback in a lab. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. And I understand why the Cowboys did a 4th round pick because they have on the other side of the trade, the Cowboys have a quarterback that has struggled last year, that has kind of struggled to get over the hump of being a winning, successful quarterback in Dak Prescott. What do you think about that quarterback situation in Dallas now? With that being said, like the one thing is Cooper Rush is still there also.
No. Well, going back to the 49ers, just Brock Purdy being the quarterback battle wasn't even like who's going to start at quarterback. It was who's going to back up Brock Purdy. And that's just, I don't know. I think that's fun. Brock is Mr. Like you say, there's a reason that he was drafted 3rd pick overall because he's the complete package. Well, he's obviously fucking not. Maybe physically he's everything you want, but if you're too dumb to read an NFL, and I shouldn't be too hard on the guy, but I don't care how physically gifted you are. Quarterback is a mental position. Like Tom Brady is no specimen, but he is one of the best quarterbacks because the dude is fucking smart. His football IQ is through the roof. He can read a defense. He knows what to do with the ball and how to do it. That is what makes a great quarterback. I don't care how physically gifted you are. It is a mental position. And so if he can't handle that, then he is not worth 3rd pick overall. Meanwhile, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, goes out, fucking heads the 49ers through the playoffs and is successful on a good NFL team in the playoff season. Like that, I don't know. I can't call him a complete package. Physically, sure, but like quarterback, mental, like if he's
Right.
struggling to read defenses, that isn't in quarterback's entire job. Unless you're going to design a whole offense that he's going to run like a wildcat, get the ball and take off somewhere. Like that's not. I don't care how physically gifted he is. That being said, the quarterback battle with him and Dak Prescott in Dallas, I don't think it's much of a battle. I think you got to roll with Dak. Like obviously, you need Lance to prove himself.
For sure. And like I'm not saying right away. I'm not saying like they're going to open up a like quarterback controversy right now, right? The way I'm seeing it is week 5, week 6, Dak Prescott leads the league in interceptions like he did last year, and the Cowboys are 2-4. Do you turn to a guy like Trey Lance that struggled in San Francisco for a similar situation, or do you turn to Cooper Rush that went on a 4-game win streak for the Dallas Cowboys last year? Like, is he going to lose his job in Dallas again to Cooper Rush, or is Trey Lance going to figure it out and be like, "Oh fuck, this is my last opportunity to like make something out of myself here in Dallas and figure it out," and it finally clicks?
And this is where I think you need some preseason to happen. Like you need to see them in some preseason action, and you need to like gauge that a little bit.
Well, and this is the sad part with it, right? Because they got one game left with
Yeah.
this new team. One game.
So you're gonna give them a quarter each, and I mean, shit, that fourth quarter, you're gonna whoever did the best, throw them back out there, see if they keep it up, or whoever did the worst, throw them back out there and see if they get a second chance. I don't know, but I think you need to see all three of them play a little bit. I think Dak, you're probably a little safer with like
Yeah.
making your number one guy. Like, all right, get a couple series, and I think you'll be good. The other two can split the rest of the halves and stuff. I don't care. They just you need to see them both. You need to see what they have, and I think it'll come down to a weekly practice type thing too. Like if Dak gets hurt in week 5 and goes down, or is just underperforming drastically in week 5 and they want to replace him, I think the guy they're going to put in is going to be the guy that has been practicing the best that week of preparation. And that because that's what's going to be fresh on the coach's mind. That's what they're going to like. The first thought they're going to have is all week at practice, like Cooper was crushing it or Trey was like put them in. They're the two this week. I think it might be kind of a week to week thing based on how the practices are going and who they're like game planning for. And when it comes down to the game planning scenario, that 2 and 3 spot could change just based on that.
I agree. I think that is, like the only way to do it with that situation. Um, but man, what a blunder by John Lynch, the general manager for the 49ers. They traded up for Trey Lance. They traded 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance. It's similar to a blunder that happened in Chicago 2 years prior. But I'm not going to mention, Mitch Trubisky, Patrick Mahomes. It's fine.
Luckily, I think the 49ers made up for it. Not saying Brock Purdy should have been a first round or anything, but I do think they definitely got him at a steal as Mr. Irrelevant. So when you go third overall and down here to Mr. Irrelevant, probably should have been up here. I think you kind of flatten out slightly on that. Like, we fucked up. Holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah, and it kind of like collides together. And like that's what I was just about to say because like the way I look at it is like John Lynch could have been in a very, very, very similar situation that Ryan Pace was in. If only we would have found some undrafted or 7th round pick when we drafted Mitch that could have came in and overtook. I mean, I'm glad it didn't because that led us to who we have as Ryan Poles. And I really do enjoy Ryan Poles. And like one thing, I'm also pumped that Trey Lance hasn't really had success in the NFL is Trey Lance and Justin Fields were in the same draft class, and the 49ers passed on Justin Fields for Trey Lance. And they both have a very similar skill set, and one's semi performed and one has not performed at all.
Definitely, yeah. And hopefully we'll see more performance out of Fields too with this coming season. Hopefully we'll see him throw more than just a screen. And uh, not to make any digs or anything at him, but I mean, 100 yards looks great till you realize there's 110 after catch. But
Uh yeah, I am nervous as a Bears fan. Like going in, like I was feeling really good, really optimistic throughout all of OTAs, through week 1 of the preseason, and then we played the Colts and it looked like last year. A lot of it looked like last year from like Justin Fields progression wise. It just I am scared as a Bears fan, but I think that goes back to a Bears fan mentality. We've never had a great quarterback, and that's something that we'll always struggle with.
Yep. And it's obviously we'll talk more about this next week before it, or I don't even know if it'll technically be next week, a week or two from now. But
We
that
yeah.
first game too, we're starting right and hot, like with the Packers rivalry. Like we don't even get a game to kind of ease into it and just like oh do we get a win under our belts? How's Fields looking? Like a little bit of nerd. Like nah, we go straight full bore. It's Bears versus Packers. Anxiety is going to be high. I'm going to be stressing like that. We are going like worst case scenario right off the bat. Just like, hey, what's going to happen here? I have no clue because we're seeing if Fields can prove himself. They're seeing if Jordan Love can fill the shoes of Rodgers. Like, there's just going to be chaos going on in that first week rivalry game, and it is going to be one to watch.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for NFL. I'm ready for college. This is the best time of the year, starting to kick it off. I'm just ready. I'm ready for it all.
I feel like I'm more ready for college than I am NFL. And I don't know if that is my confidences in Iowa versus the Bears or if that's just something about college football is looking more appetizing to me than like NFL. Like NFL is, yeah, it's happening. It's there. It is what it is. But like college football, like we're changing playoffs. Conferences are moving. Iowa's got a quarterback. Like I don't know. I feel like there's just so much going on there, and college football's got me excited this year. NFL, like sure, I'm eager to watch, but like something about me is tipping college right now.
See, I'm the opposite, but I've always been an NFL guy, and I think it's because I know I have to work on Saturdays this year. And so I know that I won't be watching very many Iowa games, or I won't be watching very many, college football games. And I don't work on Sundays. So, like, I know I got Sundays and Thursdays that I can watch NFL. And so I'm really excited for that aspect. But I'm excited mostly for Chicago because we got DJ Moore. We got these other new guys, new faces coming in, Roshan Johnson. Like I'm really excited for these guys. So like I'm just like similar situation but different players.
I could see that. Well, and like I am super excited to watch the Bears. I think I'm almost I think I'm coming more from the perspective of like obviously I'm going to try to hit all the Bears games I can and obviously I'm going to try to hit all the Iowa games I can. But when it comes to the outside games, like when it comes to what am I watching, the Titans and the Falcons or Colorado and Utah, like I'm going to watch Colorado and Utah over
Deion
like
Sanders.
I mean, yeah, and those are just kind
Yeah.
of kind of two random schools I thought of, but kind of not because like Colorado ties. I do enjoy Utah, like just couple random ones, but still, I think when it comes to the non fandom of like Bears or Hawks, I think that's where I'm saying I'd rather watch some of these college games that are about to happen than some of these NFL games that just I don't know if it's not the Bears, it's not drawing me like it used to.
For sure. And I get that. I think it's a year to year basis on it. But, like, yeah, I could also say Lions versus Chiefs, first game of the year. Jared Goff went 8-1 in the last part of the year. Let's see if Dan Campbell can rock this ship and see if the Lions are for real this year. It's a great storyline.
For
I'm
sure.
just
And
saying.
and there are teams that will be more interesting NFL wise to me too because I gave a pretty good or bad if you want to say example when I say Titans and
Titans.
Falcons like that like, who I don't give a
It's like
fuck about the
saying
Titans.
San
I've
Jose.
never
It's
watched the Falcons.
yeah. It's like saying San Jose State versus Stanford. Like,
Yeah. Like
okay,
okay,
like
you weren't going to watch that anyway. Why are you
right.
using that? But no, yeah, if it's going to be fucking Lions and even Lions and Broncos, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm tuning in for that shit. Like, honestly, Broncos in general, they're probably a slight number two to me. Just with the Colorado ties, I got to be a little supportive out there. So low key, like, yeah, Broncos I'm gonna watch. Like the teams I like, I'm gonna watch. It's just I don't know. I don't know. College is exciting to me. College has so much going on. It's so exciting right now.
They do. And I think I'm going to be more excited next year because that's when all of that stuff
When it's really
happens.
gonna hit.
Yeah, and 12-team playoff, and it's like, oh my God, Iowa's not out of it. We're 5 weeks in, and we're still in the playoff run. Like that's when it's gonna be like, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to watch this. So we'll see, man. It's gonna be a fun year, and football's back.
Football is back. We're about at our limit here. Nice doing a good full episode again. We almost were running it like a short episode for a second there. I didn't know if we were gonna make it, but we got through it all. We got you guys the hour that we wanted to get you. Um, we're excited for football. We hope you are too, and we hope that we'll see you guys here again next week, where we'll recap some of the football games that happened, and we'll get into some of the next ones coming up, as well as some of the other Bear stuff going on, even though regular season will not have started quite yet. But Avery, last thing to say.
Yeah, so go like us on YouTube, follow, subscribe on YouTube, like our TikTok, challenge the call on TikTok, Instagram, you name it. Go like it, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. And I got 2 words, guys. Well, let's do 4 words. Go Hawks and bear down.